Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us here at Greccio Housing. My name is Olivia Whaley and I'm the PR and marketing manager here. And today I am joined by Lee Patke, who is the executive director and who has been here for over 15 years, so quite a long time. And we're just having this opportunity for community members to ask questions about affordable housing and things that are affecting our community and have that opportunity to get an answer from Lee. So Lee, want to say anything?
No, just thanks for coordinating and for this opportunity to talk a little bit more about affordable housing. If anybody is watching and wants to ask a question, put it in the chat and Olivia will pick it up and we'll answer
Right
questions
here.
live.
Awesome. So in case you didn't know, Affordable Housing Awareness Month is May. So we've had a fundraiser going on, we've had special communication, and that's kind of why we wanted to have this discussion, because it's not often that you get to sit down with someone who's been in this industry for quite some time and who gets to give his own perspective. And so any questions that you may have, please add that in the comments and we'll join that. Add that to the questions that we're answering. So what we have been doing is we've been collecting other community submitted questions, and we're just going to go through those and let Lee tell his thoughts and the perspective from Greccio.
Right. Awesome. Let's roll.
All righty. So Lee, for people who do not know much about Greccio, what is kind of a snapshot view of what we do here?
Sure. So Greccio was founded over 35 years ago to provide housing stability for families. And we do that through affordability, resident resources, which are supportive, and then advocacy in the community. And it's really the magic of what Greccio does is not just the affordability, but the support when those difficult times come up. Affordability is not enough to just sustain a family or a home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually we have some questions in these that were submitted that kind of address some of those. And so this will be a really good opportunity for some people to get some answers on that. So we're just going to start with the easy ones, kind of affordable housing 101.
Take it easy on me.
Yes,
to start.
There are some other questions that we'll pick his brain on, but we're starting very nice and easy with the basics. So the first question that we have, is there a difference between low-income housing and affordable housing, or are they the same thing?
Yeah, terminology in this field changes over time, and I think for a long time, people referred to it as low-income housing, and that brings along a negative stereotype because it defines the characteristic of a family by how much money they make. And we know that that's not the value of a family or an individual.
Absolutely.
So over time, the industry, Greccio didn't change this, the industry has changed to recognize that the families have value, and whether or not a home is affordable is where that affordability piece came in. Unrelated to the question is a difference between affordable housing and housing affordability. That sounds like the same term, but housing affordability relates to if your housing is affordable to you regardless of your income. Affordable housing, we call it capital A affordable housing, is that not only is it affordable, but it's designed, developed, and set aside for people making less than 80% or less of area median income, which is considered low income.
Okay, perfect. But
the low income piece, it's a matter of dignity for the families.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That segues into the next question. Someone wanted to know if there are specific income bracket tiers that would show people whether they qualify for certain housing, and where can they find this information?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe you can find all that on our website at greccio.org, Greccio. But essentially, if you make 80% or less of area median income, right now in El Paso County, the area median income for a family of 4 is $116,400. It sounds like a lot of money. And 80% of that, if you have a family of 4, is roughly $84,000, $85,000. But that number comes down if you've got a family of 3 or 2 or 1. 80% is designated as low income. Almost 4 out of 5 units, so almost 80% of our units are set aside for people making 50% or less of area median income. So we're really trying to help those families that have the lowest incomes and the fewest choices out there in the industry. Not only are we present in El Paso County, but Teller County, we're expanding our reach into Teller County. There's strong need there and a great community. The area median income for a family of four is $112,400. So it's a little bit less than El Paso County, but we serve both communities equally.
That's great. Thank you, Lee.
Yeah.
How many income housing opportunities are available in Colorado Springs?
So fortunately, you're hearing about it more. So, 10, 15 years ago, those units offered by the Colorado Springs Housing Authority or Greccio were really the primary game in town. But because the need has been so great, there's been more affordable development. So there are opportunities besides Greccio and the Springs Housing Authority. We've got lists of those for if we don't have units available for anyone that's interested. So you should call or check out the interest list. And if we don't have space for you, we'll refer you to the dozens and dozens of other properties in the community where you might find affordable housing.
Great. Okay. So in this sort of affordable housing 101 questions, we have one more, and then we'll transition to a little bit more specific and kind of vision for Greccio and all of those fun things. So someone asked, should I still apply if my income exceeds the maximum amount for one person?
So the answer to that honestly is no, because we don't want to waste your time. You're probably going to need that time to go find housing elsewhere. So if we don't have a unit that fits, do give us a call though, or do check out, send us an email at info@greccio.org. We'll reply. We'll get some referrals to you. We never want to be a last stop or just a no for anybody. So if we can't help, we'll do our best to be a resource to find housing for you in another part of the community.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
For those of you who are just joining us, we are here at Greccio Housing with Lee Patke, and we're just answering questions that have been submitted through our form, just general community submissions that were anonymous. And so anyone joining with us live, you are welcome to add a question or a comment in the section below. And I have my phone here, and I will be checking that to see if anyone has any questions that Lee can answer. So we're just going to transition here to asking a little bit deeper of questions. Sure. So we had someone ask, over the years, has federal funding fluctuated? And if so, how do we handle that? Do we cut back on programs and services?
So an important thing to know, I made an odd sound there. An important thing to know is that we don't depend on federal funding or local or state funding for our ongoing operation. The way affordable housing works is if we can get equity into a deal and when we set up the property, it's like increasing our down payment for a house. If you've ever bought a house, the more your down payment is, the lower your monthly rent, or your monthly mortgage is going to be. So we do take advantage of local, state, federal funding when we're acquiring and renovating or building a new property. And the more funding that we can get in, the lower debt service we have, and so the lower rents we can charge. So when federal funds fluctuate, it doesn't impact us immediately as much as it does other services and programs in the community. But when there is a constriction of funds available for acquisition and rehab or new construction, that makes the pool of funds tighter, and we've got to present even better projects with more resources and lower set-asides for different income levels to be competitive to draw down those funds.
Yeah, very helpful. How do we support residents who are struggling financially or facing something unexpected?
Yeah. A big part of, as I said earlier, a big part of what we do is not only providing affordability on rent, but providing that network of support when those tough times come. And it's really what sets Greccio apart from a lot of other affordable property management companies or even market rate companies. So first of all, it's important to know that our property management side of the business, our property management program, is 100% self-supporting. So all the rents that we collect through hardworking families and individuals or people that are retired or those on housing assistance payments supports our affordable housing program. Our resident resource program is all those other resources that help our residents when they come across challenges in life. So it's very important to support Greccio Housing by making those donations. 100% of those donations go to direct resident support. So the array of services that we have, again, you can go to greccio.org to learn about all of those. But we have emergency financial assistance, we have eviction prevention resources, we have financial counseling, budgeting, literacy programs. All of those are offered to all of our residents here in El Paso and Teller counties.
Great. Our resident resources team is amazing.
They're rock stars.
They are incredible.
Yeah.
So how often do we add to the programs that we have available for our residents?
For the program side, we add as much as we can for what our donations and grants will support. There are no other funding sources for that. So all the donations and grant support that we get, we match the programs and expand the programs based on the funding that we have. So when we have more funding, we have more programs.
Yeah.
There are a few core programs that we commit to that we say we're going to support those programs even without more advanced or greater donation dollars. Mm-hmm. And that's our eviction prevention program and a few things like that that we believe so strongly in that we commit money from the affordable housing operation to support at least a basic amount of those programs. Mm-hmm. And then everything else are add-ons. And one thing, we depend an awful lot on our volunteers. We have a great team of volunteers that provide services and support to residents at no cost to us and no cost to our donors. So just a shout out to the volunteers. If you're out there, we couldn't do it without you. Thank you.
Definitely. That is truly a fact.
Yeah.
So what are some of the biggest ways that affordable housing has changed since you've been at Greccio?
First of all, affordable housing has become a more accepted and more broadly understood issue in our community, not just here or across the state, but across the country. Affordable housing is a part of almost every conversation that communities have. Mm-hmm. So 15 years ago, 16 years ago, when I started, we were really fighting to get people to understand the impact and importance of housing affordability for residents and how important that is for a viable workforce. Mm-hmm. We can't have a service industry, we can't have service workers and those critical backbone type of workers if we don't have housing for them. People can't, if they can't afford to live here, then they're not going to work here. They're going to find another place that's available. So that's become more an accepted part of our conversation. And our workforce, our industry leaders, our company owners have recognized that if a family has stable housing, they're going to be a more stable employee. So the importance of our workforce, of our housing stock to our workforce has been more accepted. And along the line, as inflation has grown and cost of housing has grown, we're now the third highest cost of living in the country. The state of Colorado is. So, and housing is a big part of that. So not only is it more recognized, but we have more and more need, especially at those lower income levels.
Yeah, man. It really does help remind us why it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, if you don't want your college graduate, and affordable housing is just not for those adults that are very low income. It's for people that are starting their careers. So older adults, Gen Xers, if you don't want the boomerangers coming back and living in your house after college or after trade school, you need to support affordable housing. They need it.
Yeah, it's very true. Okay, so one of the submissions was, how do we decide where to build or when to acquire a new community?
So we look for opportunities all the time, and opportunities are presented to us all the time. We've kept our portfolio sort of geographically concentrated so that it's efficient to operate, but we don't want it to be so concentrated that it's all in one area. So we want to develop properties that give families the choice of employment centers and school districts and areas of the community. So while for a long time we stayed pretty concentrated in the central part of Colorado Springs, we now have properties in the Southwest, the Southeast, far north in Teller County. We don't want to jump out of that and suddenly operate something in Trinidad, for example, even though there's high need there. It sort of undermines our operational efficiency. So we want to grow incrementally. We now have a property for the last 5 years at Austin Bluffs and Templeton Gap. We have a new senior property that's opening at Woodman and Mark Shuffle, which is far northeast. That's opening in July. So we're growing our portfolio incrementally. We believe we've got, in the core of Colorado Springs, we're not going to pass up a great opportunity if it exists, but we're really looking to incrementally offer more opportunity geographically to our families.
That makes a lot of sense. And this next question actually builds off of that. Someone asked, you envision growth and that's costly. So to offset the cost, are you going to sell off older properties?
We work so hard to bring new properties on that we don't want our first option to lose those units out of the back end as we develop. There is a reality of looking at our entire portfolio, and we invest money every single year. Right now, we have a 3-year, multi-year grant, $500,000 a year from one funding source that we're very grateful for to upgrade and update our properties. And we can do that for quite a long time. We did decide about 2 years ago that one property, because of its physical condition, where it was on a hillside, and the amount of money that it was going to take to scrape and rebuild that those funds would have been better used by developing a property elsewhere. So we took 2 years, took our time to relocate those people with different options in our properties at no cost to them. We moved them. We kept their rents the same that they would be had they stayed there. But yes, we decided to sell a property that we thought we could no longer keep up. So that's not our first choice. We take that very seriously, but good portfolio management is healthy.
Yeah, very, very true. And we still have quite a few more questions, but I just want to let anyone who's in the live video, that if you have a question for Lee here, please leave a comment, and I have my phone right here, and I'll be reading those, and we can just ask him and let him address that. So feel free to do that. So this also kind of builds off of the last previous questions, but someone asked or said that we have properties in Woodland Park and Divide. Is that smart given the distance and the time travel alone back up and back, and given employee turnover rate? Is this practical?
So for anybody that's been in Colorado Springs for a long time, it feels like somewhere in Colorado Springs is local, but Woodland Park is remote. And the reality is we can get to our Woodland Park property quicker than we can get to Woodman and Mark Shuffle. Yeah. And the truth is there is need in that community. And so we're there we first entered into a property management agreement where we operated for about 2 years before we acquired a property in Teller County. And that was to truly evaluate, could we do that in a cost-efficient way and in a way that we're respecting the community and that we're joining that community rather than dropping in with our Colorado Springs values and ideals. And we're doing that through good partnerships and relationships and really building a presence in Teller County. So that first 2-year period really told us, yeah, that's a community with need, with value, and we think we can add to that. So after 2 years of that, about a year ago, we added a property that we acquired in Divide, and we're looking to build more of a footprint there. And we now have the capacity in the portfolio that justifies staff that are based in Teller County. So you'll see that coming in the next few months or year or so.
Great. Someone asked, why do you think there aren't more affordable housing communities being built when the need is so high?
Strictly comes down to funding.
Mm-hmm.
There's limited resources, so the competition is very high. And what that produces actually are better properties, more responsive, better amenities, well designed, well executed, and well managed. So the more funds we have, the more we can do and the more we can build.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very good. What are some of the biggest challenges people here are facing when it comes to housing?
Number one is cost. We've all experienced it. It's inflation. The cost of housing has gone up significantly and far outpaced the increase in income. So we're building and developing as much as we can, as wisely as we can, so that it's sustainable. But number one is cost of housing, and the need seems to continue to grow, especially at those lower income levels, the 30, 40, 50% of income of area median income. So that's a family of four living on what, $58,000 a year. Family of four living on $58,000. That's tough to do. It sounds like a lot of money, but those of you that are experiencing it, you know how tough it can be. Your choices are limited when your income is limited.
Yes, absolutely. So as we're closing out these questions and we start to go into our next section, I love this question because it lets you think and kind of give your perspective. What changes need to be made in order to keep up with the housing needs in our area?
Boy, you know, everybody in nonprofits will always say more money. And that's true. The more equity that we can put into projects and develop, the more we're going to be able to provide. But that's just a given and it's understood. What I'd like to highlight is that, first of all, our community, our city has offered some great incentives to make building affordable housing more affordable through infrastructure rebates and offsets and local sales tax rebates, in addition to an expedited process through the through Planning Commission and through the building department. We save time, which saves money. So those are all fantastic. The other thing that I really wish we could do is through through seemingly positive intention, the last several years at the state legislature has actually increased the operational cost of affordable housing and all housing, rental housing, by about 9% in a matter of 3 years. If we could get more of our state legislators engaging with us in judging what the real impact of legislation is going to be, then perhaps we can refine some of the legislation they passed that are well-intentioned, but that have had a negative secondary impact on us. And that has all contributed to rent increases as well. We have to compensate for that. We don't have a pool of money that we can pull from. So more engagement by our legislators would go a long way.
That's very good. Yeah. So we need that involvement. Now we're going to transfer and kind of transition over to, we have a couple of anonymous resident submitted questions, and this is their chance to ask Lee whatever they want.
Okay,
so
let's hear it.
All right. So our first question is, can you explain the continued yearly rent increases without building improvements?
So yes, we have yearly rent increases because our expenses go up. Property insurance, taxes, and we do pay property taxes. That may be a misconception out there. Just because we're a nonprofit doesn't mean we don't pay property taxes. We do pay property taxes on each of our properties. And we commit at least $100,000 a year in building improvements, and we take care of any of those things that come along that need improvement along the way. We've got great grant support from some local foundations that add to that, to the tune of, I think this last year we've done something like $400,000 to $600,000 of building improvements. So they are happening. Sometimes they happen in the background with replacement roofs, with improved hail impact shingles, changing HVAC systems, what you may not always see, but we try to do when we can, is replacements of cabinets and appliances and things like that. That's more visual and a direct impact on how it feels in the apartment. But believe me, a new HVAC system keeps you warm during the winter and cool during the summer. And those are important, and those are happening.
Yeah, thank you for answering that. And our next question is, can you explain what's being done to address the turnover of leasing agents?
Yeah, so this is a tough one because really everything in the workforce changed around the time of COVID. And some of our entry level for us staff, the leasing agents, the maintenance staff, during the time of COVID and all that disruption, there was significant turnover. People were moving jobs due to life circumstances and everything that was going on in the world. I'm pleased to say now we've got a very good culture. We've hired a leadership team that has really focused on culture development. It's the result of that has been longer length of stays by leasing agents and maintenance staff. But we do still have turnover. Those are entry-level positions. Sometimes they're not necessarily, very few people say, I think I want to be a leasing agent for the next 40 years. People want to grow and advance, and that's normal and typical. And we've got people even in our organization that are managers on a director level track that started as leasing agents. So sometimes those advance and turnover through promotions. Sometimes people leave out of state. We had a wonderful manager and director that was with us for over 10 years, moved to San Antonio to be closer to their family. That happens. And then there's the normal turnover. So while we do have turnover, I wouldn't say we have abnormal turnover anymore, but even with normal turnover, residents feel it because our staff develop relationships with our residents. So yes, you feel it. Yes, we're doing everything we can to keep staff as long as possible. But one thing I want folks to remember, it's Greccio that provides the stability and support, and it may not be the same name this year as it was last year. Then again, it might be. We've got quite a number of people that have been here 5 and 7 and 10 years, but it's Greccio that provides safety, stability, and support, and not an individual person.
Great. And we just want to thank those residents who did submit their questions, because we appreciate the engagement, and we also appreciate that you see things and you want to know what's happening in your community. So we appreciate that. For everyone who is new joining us, we are answering questions that were submitted through a form previously, but if you're joining live, please feel free to ask any question down below. And as I said before, I have my phone right here in my lap, looking for any comments that may pop up and any questions that Lee can answer for you while we're still on. So we have a few more to finish, and then we can let Lee wrap up. But these are actually really fun. I think you'll enjoy these.
Okay.
They're kind of personal questions for you. So what is something you have always wanted to do at Greccio? For instance, a program, service, staff benefit, etc., but haven't been able to yet, and what's on your wish list?
So let me, I'll answer the question. I want to start by a couple of really cool things that we've been able to do as we've grown over the last decade and a half. One of the things, and it goes to the question we were just talking about, the stability of our staff. We started, I guess it was 10 or 11 years ago, we added in a 401k benefit for our employees. We matched that at a certain level to attract more professional staff and people that were interested in that. We did that when we were finally able to financially do so, but that was a great benefit. Moving into this building in a way, we moved into this building in 2016 after a successful capital campaign, and so we're debt-free on this building. So we are not depending on donors or residents who are paying rent hard-earned dollar at a time to pay for our overhead, to pay for our mortgage, and many thanks to all the volunteers and donors that made this building happen. That was wonderful to be able to do. We're currently going through a strategic planning process right now and evaluating the programs that we have in resident resources. Evaluating those things that add true stability or and just evaluating what are we getting our return on investment. There are lots of needs out there. We don't want to duplicate services, but there are things like low-cost childcare that at some point, man, what a vision and what a dream that would be to offer our residents, instead of $1,400 a month childcare, that's $500 a month. Talk about financial stability and housing stability. That'd go a long way for our families. And we try to listen. We've got a resident council that provides feedback, direct feedback to me and the board about what's working in resident resources. And we take that feedback seriously. And one of the things, anytime we have a new project, we invite residents to comment on how to best design that building and the services so that we can build those programs tailored to what that new population is. We're doing that right now with the Sunrise at Shiloh Mesa Apartments. It's the senior property that's opening in July, working with Woodman Valley Chapel, the Woodman Heights campus, and Center for Strategic Ministry, who are providing volunteer hours and drive time and meals and social activities. So we build those as the need presents and the opportunity to support it exists.
That's great. We're very, very excited about that upcoming addition to Greccio. Yep. Okay, so what is one of the accomplishments you are most proud of during your time here?
Oh boy. Well, adding the value for the residents was one, or for the employees was on. Adding the eviction prevention program was huge. We started that program as a pilot program between 2014 and 2016. It was grant funded. The innovation of that program and the stability it provided for people that were having one-time life crisis events actually won an Eagle Award. It's a statewide award through Housing Colorado, won that in 2017 for that really innovative and supportive program. So eviction prevention, people hear that word now because of COVID and all the funds that were laid out during that time. But we actually started that about 5 years before COVID happened. So we were ready. We were prepared to facilitate more of those funds for a slightly different purpose for COVID response. And during that time, we facilitated and pushed out about $700,000 in financial support, not only to our residents, but residents of other affordable housing programs in the community.
Amazing. Are there any stories of residents that stand out to you most?
You know, we recently, and this was last year, I think it was highlighted in our annual report, we had a resident who had lived with us for quite a number of years, started participating in our financial advancement, financial education classes because of the incentive that she had. If you participate in, I think, 6 of our classes,
yes.
You'll get $200 off your rent. And so she started participating and realized that even though she had a severely restricted income, that she learned about how to manage the money, how to plan the resources that are out there. And over a period of time, she became empowered that even though she had a restricted income, that she did have power and authority out there. And she ended up buying a home, moving out of Greccio, buying a home closer to her family in North Carolina, and got into an affordable home ownership situation. So this resident who started on kind of a whim so she could gain $200 ended up a homeowner.
Incredible.
Man, what a feel-good story that was. That was fantastic. We just root her on like crazy. Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And we're coming to the end of the questions.
Sure.
And I like this one a lot because I think that it kind of gives us a glimpse into Lee and his motivations and his thoughts. So as a leader in the industry, what keeps you motivated and what gives you hope for the future of affordable housing?
Boy. What keeps me motivated really are the stories that we hear when people have those opportunities and they succeed. One of the things that I really appreciate when we can get out and we're doing our annual or biannual inspections, and I have the opportunity to meet someone and go into their home, even though someone may be living on $30,000 a year or $22,000 a year, and you go into their home and it's not filled with items, but it's filled with dignity because of how they care for what they have. They may not always have a lot, but when I see the dignity in their homes and the value that they have because they have stability, it's just completely reinforcing for me. The other thing that I absolutely love is, one of the indicators of future success and income is graduation rates. Graduation rates are largely dictated. There's a correlation by how many books are in the home when kids are 2, 3, 4, and 5 years old. Therefore, we have community libraries at 100% of our communities, grab-and-go libraries, and a great selection here in our lobby. So when I see kids excited about books and pulling books off the shelf, I know that we're adding and we're contributing to something that will enhance their future success. And when that's supported, when parents support it, and we have new books come in, that's really gratifying that we're impacting the next generation.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That is phenomenal. Well, we have, that is the end of the questions that have been submitted. We do want to thank everyone here who has joined us live and those who are watching later. And we had someone ask, is it possible to get this information via email for those who don't use social media? Absolutely. We'll be downloading this video and sending out a link to that via email. But if you would like to receive that, please either send us a direct message or put a comment below and we can get you that link. So we're just so grateful for your time, and we hope that this has been really educational and insightful. And it's all for affordable housing awareness and Affordable Housing Awareness Month, which we are running a campaign right now to help us continue providing what we do and continue supporting more people and growing and being able to help them become the best version of themselves and have the brightest future. So we would ask that if you're able to, please follow the link that is in the video description and consider giving a gift today, because everything that Leah said today, that's what it goes to. It goes to changing lives and generations, really. So we're so grateful for you and for all that you do. Lee, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, just a lot of appreciation and gratitude for this community, the people and the government and the systems that support our critical infrastructure, which is our workforce, and the impact on lives that we get to be a part of. So just a lot of gratitude and thanks, and keep those donations and volunteers and volunteer hours and support coming. We appreciate it, and it all goes directly to our residents.
Thank you so much.